Now in this lesson, we are going to conduct our WPS or Wi-Fi protected setup attack. What we're going to do here is work against that 8-digit PIN. Now the last digit of that is actually a checksum, so we only have to calculate the first 7 digits. And if you remember, I talked about that this breaks it up into 4 digits and then 3 digits. So it's only 10,000 and 1,000 combinations we're looking at, so it shouldn't take too long. Now the biggest detriment here is as we go through and hack it is the program we use here, which is called Reaver. It actually will have to wait about 5 seconds in between each attempt. Now by doing that, that is going to slow us down, and if it's a very high number pin, it could take all night for us to crack. So we'll just let it run. I'll pause the video and we'll come back depending on what the passcode is on this particular router. The first thing we need to do is see if our card is in monitoring mode. So we'll do that by doing iwconfig again. And we can see here that it's actually in access point mode. So do you remember how we changed this back to monitoring? That's right, we're going to use air mon ng start and then WLAN 0, which is the name of this wireless card. We'll hit enter and that card will get turned into monitoring mode. Now from the prompt we'll verify that by using iwconfig, and you can see that card is now in monitoring mode, ready to do our bidding. So we're going to clear our screen to bring us back to the top, and we're going to use a program called wash. And if you do -H, it will show you all the commands that are there for wash. There's 2 required arguments. You have to have an interface, and if you want the packets to be read from a capture file, you use -F. Now we're going to do a live scan, so we're just going to use wash-I and then WLAN 0 mon, just like it shows in the example here. And you'll see that it will start scanning our wireless networks. Now this works very similar to Aeromon. The big difference here is that this one is really focused on WPS. You'll notice it has a lot less information. We do have our MAC address right here of the access point. It's on channel 1. It is using WPS version 1 and it is not locked, which means it is vulnerable to this attack, possibly. So now that we've gotten the information we need, we can hit Control-C, get us back to the prompt, and we're going to use a program called Reaver. So I'm going to clear our screen and we're going to look at Reaver. Reaver-H is going to show you the help file. Now, Reaver is a Wi-Fi protected setup attack tool that will allow us to go against WPS and guess that pin. It's going to do that by doing a brute force attack. It's going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0 and go from there. So we're going to have to give it an interface, which is our WLAN 0 mon. We're going to give it our base station's MAC, that -B, and then the MAC we just copied. And we can leave it at that and it'll just start scanning right from there. And we can do that and see what's going to happen. So let's start with that. So to conduct this attack, we're going to use Reaver-I WLAN mon 0 -B, the MAC address of our card, -VV, which is verbose mode, and then -K1, just like the example, which is going to be using this option, this pixie dust, and we're going to use version 1 here, and we'll hit enter and see if it can crack our password. Now if you notice, I'm going to hit Control-C here, you'll see that it keeps trying the same pin. This is a function of the way that this router that we're attacking is responding to these NAC. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here to the help. So we're ready to type in our command. What we're going to use is Reaver-I WLAN 0 mon, the base station, -B, paste in that terminal ID, -VV for verbose, and then we want to use no NACs, because as you saw in the last example, that NACs was just causing all sorts of problems for us. We're going to do -N, which will do no NACs, which is no acknowledgement messages, and that way it'll keep going and we'll get different pins each time. So we'll see if that works, and here we go. The first pin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The next one is different. You'll see that these pins are changing here. And so now we're going through and we're on the 6th pin, the 7th pin. I'm going to let this run, and when it finds one, I'm going to come back to this video because I don't want you to sit here for what could be possibly several hours. As you see right now, it is 5:52 my time. We'll see what time it is when we come back and this thing has solved its problem. So you can see that it took a long time to find this pin. In fact, it tried over 10,000 combinations until it finally found it. Now, when it did find it, it did take us about 3.5 hours. Notice here that the pin was cracked in 12,338 seconds, and the pin that we got was 210-88612, shown here at the bottom. But if we have just that pin, can we connect to the network? Well, certainly, we can use WPS and we can connect to the network. But really, we'd like to know what the password is as well. And so we're going to use a tool called Bully to take that pin, connect to the network, and figure out what the password is. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my screen and bring us to the top. I'm going to go ahead and copy that pin number first, and then we're going to clear our screen. Okay, so now that we found the pin, what we're going to do is we are going to clear the screen, and we are going to look for that network again, and we're going to try to connect to it one more time, this time using the pin. So what we're going to use is wash-I WLAN 0mon, just like we did before. And notice we now have this BSS ID, which we're going to need. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to use a program called Bully. And the way Bully works is if you use Bully-H, you can see here that Bully is going to allow us to give it an interface and give it some options. We're going to use the -B option, which is the address, the MAC address for that target access point that we just got above. And we're going to use the -P option and give it a PIN number, because we know the PIN number from what we just did with Reaver. So what we're going to do here is I wrote down my PIN number, which was 210-88612, and I'm going to copy this BSS ID so that I don't have to type it out because it's a longer thing to type out. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Bully-B for the access point and paste in that MAC address. Then we're going to use -P for the PIN number. And although we got an 8-digit PIN, the PIN number itself only needs to be 7 digits. That 8th digit is actually a checksum. So we're only going to give it 7 digits, leave off the last digit. And then we're going to use the interface, which is WLAN 0mon. And hit enter, and away it'll go. So there we go. It found it immediately. You could see here it has the PIN number calculated fully with the last digit, the 2, and it did find the key, Dragon Breath, which is the password. We do have the access point we attacked and the name of the access point we attacked. And so now, just because we had WPS, this did take us 3 to 5 hours, in our case 3.5 hours, to find this PIN number. But once we have that PIN number, we're able to reverse engineer that by connecting to the access point and getting that password. And now, simply using that password, we can connect to the access point with no issues. Now, the great thing about this is that if somebody has WPS enabled, often they'll remember to change their password, but they won't remember to change their WPS code. In fact, a lot of times the routers don't even allow you to change the WPS code. So I can go and change Dragon Breath to whatever I want, and no matter how long the password is, if I still have that PIN number, I can run this, and you saw it took just a couple of seconds for Bully to connect to it using that known PIN and come back with a password. This makes our life very, very simple. So using these 3 tools, Wash, Reaver, and Bully, in just a couple of hours, you're able to have the password that you want for that particular network. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to crack WPS or Wi-Fi protected setup. Now, what can you do to secure your networks from this threat? Well, if you have the option on your router, turn off WPS. Although it's great from an ease of use of connecting new clients by only having to type in those PIN numbers, it is really, really bad for security, as you saw here. This attack works each and every time. There is no known mitigation to stop this type of an attack. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take you to go through that entire key space of 11,000 keys. In our case, about 3.5 hours. Now, if you want to stop this completely, the only mitigation there is turning off WPS, which really isn't even a mitigation because you're taking away the service. But by taking away that service, you're going to prevent anyone from using this against you.